eternal rest. After the religion brought by the prophet had been made perfect and complete, Allah sent down the revelation. This day I have perfected your religion, completed my favors upon you, and declared Islam as your religion. The Prophet of Allah had delivered the message truthfully. He had spared no pains. He had not let any hardship or sacrifice shake him. He had brought up the people who could be trusted to live up to the spiritual heritage of the prophets of Allah, who could shoulder the heavy responsibility of carrying the banner of faith and truth and to guard the message of Allah against every interpolation and mutation. Allah had even affirmed that they were capable of the obligation laid on them in the Quranic verse that says, "Are the best community that hath been raised up for mankind, enjoin right conduct and forbid indecency, and believe in Allah." The Quran contains Allah's pure and holy truth, the source of inspiration and conviction to these people, which enjoyed the assurance of Allah from being eclipsed or from undergoing any corruption in its text. Verily we reveal the reminder, and verily we are its guardian. On the other hand, Allah's help and victory came to invigorate the Prophet, who saw the people entering the religion of Allah in large numbers. Delegations from Arab tribes followed one after another in rapid succession to pledge their allegiance to him. The lightning speed or the geometric growth with which Islam gained converts, promised its victory over all religions of the world. Allah, in Surah An-Nasr, makes an allusion to the rapid success of Islam. When Allah's succor and the triumph cometh and you sayest mankind entering the religion of Allah in troops, then him the praises of your Lord, and seek forgiveness of him. Lo! He is ever ready to show mercy. Recitation of the Quran and devotions. The Prophet used to retreat into his mosque for private devotions during the last 10 days of Ramadan. But during the last Ramadan of his life he had secluded himself for 20 days. The Quran used to be reviewed by the Prophet, with Gabriel, once annually during Ramadan, but this was done twice in the year which he died. The Prophet, at such a time, told his companions that he had some strong feelings that the time of his departure from the world was drawing near. No man has ever had the glowing desire to meet the Lord as possessed by the Prophet, and Allah now gave him permission to quit the fleeting world. The companions of the Prophet held him dear like the apple of one's eye. His death was thus a shock more terrible than what they could be expected to endure. But Allah had in His infinite wisdom prepared them beforehand for that unprecedented heartache. The rumor about the Prophet's death had been circulated around in the Battle of Uhud, but later on it came out that Allah had still not deprived them of the blessed companionship of His Prophet. Yet none of them had regarded the prophet as immortal, for they knew that he would have to leave this world sooner or later. It was on that occasion that the revelation was sent down by Allah to forewarn Muslims. As the Quran says, Muhammad is but a messenger, messengers, the like of whom have passed away before him. Will it be that when he dieth or is slain, will turn back on your heels? He who turneth back doth not hurt Allah, and Allah will reward the thankful. The earliest Muslims had been guided, trained, and set right by the Prophet. Their hearts were harmonized with Allah, and they were all put in harness at the great task of spreading the message of Islam to the farthest corners of the world. And they never had any doubt that the Prophet would one day be summoned by the Lord in order to be recompensed for the greatest service rendered by him in humanity. The verse, "When Allah's succor and the triumph cometh," had convinced the companions that it was but the first announcement of the Prophet's approaching departure from their midst. They were fully conscious of the fact that reference to the help and victory coming from Allah signified completion of the Prophet's mission. Then, when the revelation came, "This day have I perfected your religion," a number of eminent companions of the Prophet were led to believe that the time for his final summons was drawing near. Ardent desire for proximity to Allah. After his return from the farewell pilgrimage, a number of things done by the Prophet indicated that he was approaching the journey's end, 82, and he was now making preparations for meeting the Companion Most High. 8 years after the Battle of Uhud, the Prophet prayed over those who were slain there like one who was bidding farewell to the living and the dead. He then mounted the pulpit and said, "I am one who goes before you, and I shall be a witness to you. Your appointed place is at the Hadi Kawthar, 83, where I find myself standing. I have been given the keys of the treasure of the earth, and I do not fear for you that you would become polytheists after I am gone, but I fear lest you should long for worldly things and strike each other's necks."